The phone rang at exactly 12:03 a.m. I jolted awake, heart pounding. Calls at this hour were never good news. My bedroom was dark except for the soft glow of my alarm clock. I fumbled for my phone on the nightstand, blinking at the screen. Ethan. I frowned. Ethan was my best friend Claire's husband. Why on earth would he be calling me in the middle of the night? My first thought was Claire. Was she okay? Something must have happened. I swiped to answer. Ethan? My voice was thick with sleep, my pulse racing. There was silence on the other end, then a deep sigh. Hey, Sophia, he said, his voice lower than usual, a little strained. I'm sorry for calling so late. My fingers tightened around the phone. What's wrong? Is Claire okay? Yeah, she's fine, he said quickly. She's asleep. A strange tension crept into my chest. If Claire was fine, then what was this about? I sat up, pushing my dark hair back from my face. Then why are you calling me at midnight? Another pause. Then quietly, I didn't know who else to talk to. Something in his voice made my stomach twist. Ethan was always the steady one, strong, logical, reliable. He was the kind of man who never showed cracks. But right now, he sounded lost. I swallowed. Ethan, what's going on? He exhaled, and when he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. I think I made a mistake. I shivered, though my room wasn't cold. A mistake? The words hung between us, heavy and unspoken. A dozen possibilities flashed through my mind, none of them good. My heart thudded. I'd known Ethan for 20 years, just as long as I'd known Claire. We weren't particularly close, but we got along well enough. He was a good husband, a good father. But something in the way he said those words told me this wasn't just some small regret. I hesitated before asking, what kind of mistake? Another long silence. Then he finally said it. I think I'm in love with someone else. The breath left my lungs. My mind struggled to catch up, to make sense of what he had just said. You. My voice broke. I tried again. You think. Or you know? Ethan let out a shaky breath. I know. A sick feeling coiled in my stomach. Claire, my best friend, the woman who adored him, the woman who had built a life with him, who believed in the love they had. Ethan, I said slowly, my voice tight. Why are you telling me this? I don't know, he admitted. I needed someone to talk to. Someone who knows me. Someone he stopped himself. I closed my eyes. This wasn't happening. This was a dream. A weird, twisted dream. Does she know? I asked, my voice almost hoarse. No. I exhaled sharply. Are you going to tell her? I don't know, he whispered. I don't want to hurt her. I let out a humorless laugh. Ethan, you will hurt her. No matter what you do, she'll be hurt. He didn't answer. For a moment, I debated just ending the call, telling him this wasn't my problem. But how could I? Claire was my best friend. And Ethan wasn't some stranger. I had seen him and Claire grow together, build a life. And now he was coming undone. I sighed, rubbing my forehead. Who is she? Silence. Ethan. Another long pause. Then, finally, so quietly I almost didn't hear it, he said, You. The room seemed to tilt. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The words didn't make sense. They couldn't. I let out a shaky laugh. What? You, Sophia. His voice was thick, raw. It's you. My pulse roared in my ears. Ethan, that's not funny. I'm not joking. I squeezed my eyes shut. This is insane. You're Claire's husband. My best friend's husband. I know, he said, his voice cracking. I know. The weight of his confession settled over me, suffocating. I had no words, no way to process what was happening. Ethan, the man I had never once thought of in that way, had just shattered everything. And I had no idea what to do next. The silence between us stretched long and heavy. I could hear Ethan breathing on the other end of the line, waiting. For what? For me to say something? For me to tell him he was wrong? Or worse, for me to say I felt the same? My fingers tightened around the phone, my pulse a frantic drumbeat in my ears. This was Claire's husband. Claire's. The woman who had been my best friend since we were in our 20s, who had cried on my shoulder through breakups, who had danced barefoot in my kitchen after too much wine. And now her husband, was telling me he had feelings for me. I forced myself to take a breath. Ethan, I said finally, my voice barely steady. You can't say things like that. I had to, he said, sounding as desperate as I felt. I've been holding it in for too long. I squeezed my eyes shut, my mind scrambling for a way to make this all disappear. You don't mean it. You're just. I searched for the right word, the right excuse. You're confused. You and Claire have been married for a long time. Maybe you're going through something. Midlife, stress, whatever it is. But this, us, that's not real. Sophia, he said, and the way he said my name made something deep inside me twist. I ignored it. I had to ignore it. Listen to me, I said firmly. Whatever you think you feel, it doesn't matter. You love Claire. She loves you. You have a life together, a family. You can't throw that away. I know, he murmured. I know. But his voice trailed off, and when he spoke again, it was barely above a whisper. Have you ever thought about it? A chill ran down my spine. Thought about what? Us. I let out a sharp breath, anger, and something else, something I didn't want to name, rising in my chest. Ethan, don't do this. Just tell me the truth, he pleaded. Have you ever thought about me? Even for a second? I opened my mouth to say no, to tell him this was ridiculous, that he was imagining something that had never existed. But the word wouldn't come, because in some deep hidden corner of my mind, a place I had never let myself linger too long, there had been a moment. Years ago. It had been late. Claire had gone to bed early, and Ethan and I had stayed up talking in the backyard, the summer air warm around us. We'd laughed about something small and stupid, and then, for a second, just a second, there had been a look, a flicker of something in his eyes, something that had made my breath catch. But I had buried it, dismissed it, because he was married to my best friend. Now, hearing him say it out loud, those old, buried embers sparked to life, threatening to burn through the walls I had built. I swallowed hard. It doesn't matter, I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. He exhaled, as if he had heard my answer anyway. A sick feeling coiled in my stomach. I had to shut this down. Now. You need to forget about this, I said, forcing steel into my voice. You need to go to bed, wake up tomorrow, and pretend this never happened. Sophia. No. I cut him off. No, Sophia. No late-night confessions. Know this. You love Claire. You made vows. You have a life together. You do not get to ruin it because of something that doesn't even exist. Silence. Then, softly, you really think it doesn't exist. I pressed my fingertips to my temples, fighting the pressure building in my chest. Ethan, if you love Claire, you have to stop this. Right now. He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was hoarse. Okay. Relief and something close to sorrow tangled inside me. Good, I whispered. Go to sleep, Ethan. Yeah. The call ended. I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone, my heart still racing. Had I done the right thing? Had I said the right words? It didn't matter. Because no matter how much I tried to deny it, one truth remained, heavy and unshakable. For the first time in my life, I had lied to myself. I didn't sleep that night. Even after the call ended, my mind raced, replaying Ethan's words over and over. Have you ever thought about it? Even for a second? I told myself that it didn't matter, that I had said the right thing, that nothing would come of it. But the next morning, when I looked in the mirror, I saw something I didn't want to admit. Guilt. Not just for the conversation, not just for the way Ethan's voice had trembled when he said my name, but because, deep down, I had thought about it. And now, I couldn't stop. The following days passed in a strange, suffocating blur. I avoided Claire. Every time I saw her name pop up on my phone, my stomach twisted, so I let her calls go to voicemail. I told myself I was busy, that I needed time to clear my head. But the truth was, I couldn't face her. And Ethan, we didn't talk. No calls, no texts. It was as if the conversation had never happened. Except it had, and the weight of it pressed down on me with every passing hour. Then, 3 days later, I ran into him. It was late afternoon. I had gone to a small cafe outside of town, somewhere I didn't usually go, a quiet place where I could sit by myself and breathe. And then I saw him. Ethan was sitting by the window, stirring a cup of coffee, his gaze distant. For a moment, I considered turning around, pretending I hadn't seen him. But before I could move, his eyes lifted and locked onto mine. Neither of us looked away. After a long suspended moment, he gave a small nod, an unspoken invitation. My legs felt heavy as I walked over, my pulse thudding in my ears. I sat down across from him. For a while, neither of us spoke. The air between us was thick with everything we weren't saying. Finally, I broke the silence. I didn't expect to see you here. He let out a soft, humorless chuckle. I could say the same about you. I folded my hands on the table, staring at them. How's Claire? His expression changed, something flickering across his face before he answered. She's good. Busy. She asked about you. Guilt curled in my chest. I know. I've been avoiding her. I figured. I exhaled slowly, glancing out the window. Ethan, we can't do this.